little notes here.
All right. Oh, let me hit. Yep. Go ahead.
Wait, let me get my little notes here.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so I read in the Connecticut News Junkie this weekend that that the Connecticut legislators are looking to ban non-disclosure agreements. For businesses. So I thought that was very interesting.
Okay. What do you find interesting about that, Nettie?
Well, because it's supposed to protect the company's secrets, protect the ability for companies to patent and event to keep details confidential about disputes or when someone leaves a job, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And key elements that identify parties that are involved and why they're leaving the job for certain reasons. It defines what is considered confidential.
Right.
Yes. And it specifies the scope of the confidentiality obligation and excludes certain information from confidential treatment.
Okay, yes, Nettie, but you I know you're a 3-time over CFO, but
no,
like what is it for you that makes that interesting?
Yeah, I thought it, as a CFW, we're supposed to, when we're dealing with clients, we have to let them sign the confidentiality agreements and stuff like that. So
okay.
I didn't know if that pertained to what we were doing or.
I wouldn't think it does. That's a good connection, right? Great question. A non-disclosure, an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, generally has to do with the role that you perform or a project that you're involved in.
Yeah.
So there's still confidentiality of clients, HIPAA information, etc. All of that's still going to be private. All of that's still going to be protected. Okay. I would be very surprised if there's any sort of attack on that. Okay. There's if anything, there's a ramping up of privacy, globally.
Yeah.
Hey, who knows? It is a period of change.
Yeah. I think
that will cover discrepancies in leadership or toxic work environments and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they don't, where an organization doesn't want people to know that they have a high turnover because somebody in the system is not very nice to other people or whatnot, or there's discrepancies in leadership where how they treat their employees or vice versa.
Yep.
Also.
Thank you, Jose.
That's always good to know for somebody who's seeking employment. You don't want to go to a place where you can't give 100% or the work environment affects what you do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Good point. But Nettie, thank you very much for bringing that up. And seeing that connection, because I was not privy to that. I had heard something about NDAs being in question, but this is, for that connection, I'm a little too close to it to recognize the difference. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm really glad you raised that. Hi, Jill. Good morning. We're at 15, which is not 19, but that's all right. We proceed. We're talking about current events right now, and for those of you just joining, Nettie's like, hey, they're talking about NDAs and doing away with non-disclosure agreements, or at least calling them into question. Does that pertain to the confidentiality that we'd be establishing with our clients? And these are different beasts. The legal protections and the privacy, the personal protections in place around HIPAA and around client care will still be in place. Non-disclosure agreements are not that. Non-disclosure agreements would be more information about the organization or about the impact of a project. So any data shared would be in the aggregate. It wouldn't be about personal individual clients. Okay.
Thank you so much for you guys helping me understand exactly what it all is about.
Well, we learn by questioning, Nettie. That's the stuff right there. Awesome. Sherilyn, hello. Well, 16. Any other current events out there? Any other thoughts that folks want to raise, ask? Stuff going on? Bless you, Christian.
A lot of stuff going on with TRUMP, but I don't want to start with that. We can talk about that all day.
This is true. Anything in particular that this administration is doing or is happening in the news that pertains to our work, Andrea? Okay, because I mean, if you saw something, if you wanted to talk about something in that light, then it's appropriate.
Well, we've talked about it, about the ICE going in and detaining.
Yep.
But it's like, I thought that when they did that, they were going after people who come into the country illegally, but they're also coming after people who have been here and haven't had any. I don't understand that. I don't know. That's what I thought the reason behind it was, to make sure, which I totally agree. If you're in the country illegally, you're a criminal, you came back, you
Sure.
shouldn't be here. But it seems like they're going after everybody, and I don't understand that.
Well, yeah. And so this is the piece, well, while you and I may look at the immigration approach differently, I think what we can agree is that what's happening here is called racial profiling, right? And it's just, based on your skin color, or maybe based on the people you're hanging around with, or maybe based on the languages that you speak. They are identifying you as a potential criminal. And some of the rhetoric out of the administration involves, moving people around just because they did speak Spanish, or they are Puerto Rican of origin, which is a commonwealth of these United States. And so
we know illegal. No,
not illegal.
No,
Right.
We're considered citizens with the rights and privileges of citizenship, but it's limited.
Yeah, right. As Commonwealth residents, they can't vote in federal elections.
The Jones Act.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, there's a whole history. There's a whole history behind that. When we were taking, when Spain gave us up, and then we had industries that the Americans took over, and then like sugar and coffee. It's a long. It even got to some point that they banned the Puerto Rican flag, and people were getting incarcerated for flying Puerto Rican flag in the island. But they got rid of that. But it's a sordid, twisted history. Like I said, we do have some benefits, but at the same time, there's some caveats. It's like going to bed with the devil, so to speak.
Wow, what an analogy! If you've seen the Puerto Rican flag and then with it or around it, mi orgullo, right? This is my pride, and my understanding is a repeal to the Jones Act. That this is a response to that, right? This is saying, now I can show my true colors. Now I can be proud of where I'm from and brag about where I'm from instead of trying to hide it. That's my understanding of the backstory of mi orgullo.
There have been attempts to repeal the Jones Act, but there's a financial incentive on the part of our industries here in the United States that negate that, because one of the largest industries in Puerto Rico used to be sugar and coffee. Now it's pharmaceuticals. We have 5 pharmaceuticals facilities, some of the largest in the United States, so to speak. So there's a big incentive for them to keep those operating.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a conversation with a Canadian this past weekend, and he said the way that lobbyists control your government is absolutely staggering. And so this brings me back to an earlier point around advocacy, right? We need to be aware and having conversations at the highest level about the impacts that we're seeing, and we need to be influential at that level, right? Because that's where decisions are being made. That's where funds are being distributed. That's where laws are being passed, and it shapes the health of the communities that we serve. And so it's really critical that we are that we're vocal in what we're seeing and experiencing in the world. Yeah.
You see, like me, I'm an independent. I don't, I think all parties are corrupt. you know, as far as politics is concerned. So what I do is I look at both sides of the issue, and then I try to meet myself at a middle ground and say, okay, this is happening, but you know, there has to be a balance because we've gotten to the point where it's more like, you know, pointing fingers at each other instead of coming to the table and trying to reach an impasse.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
it doesn't benefit anybody. You
Yeah.
know, so be informed. One of the things that I say, be informed. Look at all angles. Look at, you know, there's many sources out there, but people refuse to look at different sources because they believe that their side is right and the other side is wrong, and you know, and having that mindset just it doesn't bring anybody to the table.
Right.
You know, so I try to look at all angles.
Yeah, I'm you know, even cutting off discourse, I think, you know, I've had people in my life basically on Facebook, right? So this person identifies as one or the other, and they unfriend each other, right? And like, it wasn't politics that brought you together. Why should it be politics that divides you? I think there's no room for growth when we just put ourselves on opposite sides of when we shut each other off to each other. So yeah, I'm with that. I think politics gets in the way of good governance, and we see a lot of that.
You see, we spend too much time concentrating on what makes us different instead of looking at what makes us the same.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't get us anywhere. Actually, you know, that
Right.
I mean, I saw a news report because I was looking at the news, and there was a guy who got employed by a person who's supposedly a Trump supporter, and they had an argument, and the guy ended up killing the guy that hired him. You know, committed murder just because they had differences of opinion. You know,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I mean, over politics.
It's too much.
Crazy.
On that cheery note, let's go back to the role plays. We had last week, we had Jose and Rosalie. I think Jaden was the observer for that group. And just what are some of the takeaways? Let's keep Jose and Rosalie off the hot seat for a second. What did we learn by watching that role play? What were some of the takeaways we remember? We don't need glows and grows. Just what do you remember?
I think, Jose, you did a great job representing a lot of what we see or can see in our clients, and the fact that I've been told all these things by all these people, and they turn out to be false promises, or it's BS, and I've been down this line before. You're not going to tell me anything I haven't heard before, and therefore I'm going to come in hot and adversarial right off the bat because I'm done with this. So I think you did a great job really representing a lot of times people that we're going to be sitting across the table from, and how are we going to build that rapport and start building that trust so that they can hear what we're saying, and being careful not to make promises, and then also being aware and sensitive to, like, yep, and recognizing that, yeah, this has been your life experience, and how can we do that different. So I think you did a great job doing that.
Super. Thank you, Joe. What else do we remember?
I think, from what I recall from a CHW standpoint, you know, the information from the client can come at us from all angles. It's never cookie cutter. You kind of have to have your arsenal fully loaded as a CHW in preparation for whatever may come your way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though Rosalie might have thought that she might have been prepared for this particular client, but he kind of came at her from all angles, and she had to kind of think on her toes a little bit more
Sure.
than what she typically would be prepared for.
Sure.
That's what I remember.
There's an Aikido a truism, right? Be like water, right? Whatever comes your way, be ready to accept it and use that energy. This is, the best way that I can be prepared to take whatever's coming is to understand, of course, my 4 agreements, right? But centrally, it's not personal. These folks that we may be serving are at really challenging times in their lives, right? I can't get to the doctor because I don't have transportation. I can't get food to feed my family. I'm not going to have a house over my head and my kid's head in a week or two, right? My family's freezing. Any of these different dimensions are ways that community action steps forward to keep our communities healthy. And yet, folks who don't do this work might not understand how that process happens, right? So they're coming in with with a lot of concern, with a lot of questions, with a lot of challenges emotionally around their own story. And they may bring that energy to the dynamic with you, right? So it might come as a brand of hostility or hyper emotionality. They might be very mentally, they're active. Their nervous system may be very active, so their ability to think may be challenged, right? And that's why, and just in that moment, in this scenario, there are economic studies done that with farmers, right? It's kind of feast or famine in terms of their wealth, right? So all year long, they're running out of money. And so their ability, it was measured, to think, to process, to be, to executively function is challenged until that moment of the funds coming available. And then all of a sudden, when their intelligence is reassessed, it's 20 IQ points higher. What is that? That's the impact of stress on how we think, on our brain's function. It's incredible. So understanding that that's true, that's what happens for us physiologically, being able to show up for our clients with compassion, right? With curiosity, with patience is critical. Really good point. Other thoughts? Come back around to self-care, right? So let's see. I don't have the client groups, but you know who you worked with. Nettie, you are next in line. I've got Rosalie, I've got Jose, and then I've got you in my picture.
Oh, okay. For what?
Who was it that you were working with on the role play?
Wait, let me think. At one point I worked.
Anybody can help her too. That would be okay.
I was in her group. I was supposed to report, but to be honest with you, I don't really remember much.
Yeah.
Huh.
It was. I worked with Maria, and then I worked with
Me.
Andrea. Yes, Andrea.
Okay.
And
Do we need to take 10 minutes and get back into our groups? I'm going to have Jose and Rosalie enter different groups. You know what? It doesn't matter what happened. If folks didn't take notes, that's okay. I would take notes. This is the critical part. If you're the observer, you're the note taker, right? So what did you see? This was effective. Nettie, you said this, right? Whatever. And work on your shorthand, right? You don't have to write the full words, but just, client or CL, right, did this. CHW did this. And then and then be able to speak to it, right? That's your job as the observer, okay? It's not just sit back and eat popcorn, right? Enjoy the show. So, excuse me. Are there any groups who would like to share their role play and how that went?
To be honest, I really don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember that Nettie and she was the CHW, I was the client, and a lot of stuff we weren't able to get to. As you know, Nettie's very thorough, so she went through to get to an action plan. So I do remember that, but the specifics I don't really remember. And I think I said, like, my memory is not the best. Like, if I knew we were going to go back over this, I would have made sure to reread it. But I just made sure I focused on what you told, like going over module 11 and watching the videos.
Okay. Well, and understanding that that's fresh in mind, home visitation is, I would say, a pretty advanced step in this. And so before we're stepping into folks' homes, I want to make sure we have some base skills around just interface, okay? So that we can do it in a place that we're familiar with, like our office. We can do it in an open setting. We can do it in a place where they feel more comfortable, their homes, right? And we've got to polish some of those skills before we get into home visitation. Okay, so we're gonna step back into module 10 for a minute. We're gonna go through the role play. All right, I'm gonna break you into groups. We're not gonna hear from Jose. We're not gonna hear from Rosalie. Jose and Rosalie are observers. All right, they'll just work with the groups that they're in to support them. Jose, I gotta move you to room 1, and Amy, I'm gonna move you to room 3. There's the swap. Okay. Great. So we've got good numbers. We're going to work through role plays here, folks. All right. So there's going to be a CHW, a client. The folks who are not either the CHW or the client are going to work through their role play, are going to observe. Take notes, right? What did you see that worked? Where was the motivational interviewing present? What was the rapport building? How do we make referrals, right? What was that? What was that process like? Okay. What did you see that worked?
Family, right?
We're
doing the family dynamic with the mother that was living with the dementia. We're doing that one.
This role play. All right. Let me go to a share real quick.
I think it's on page 52. I think it's on page 52, Andrea.
It's
53.
I think.
What we're doing is that's the Garcia Matthews family. No, we already did that. We're doing on page, for me it's 54. It's care coordination and navigation. The client, you're meeting with the CHW for the first time. You are feeling both nervous and hopeful. You are 22 years old. You ran away from an abused family at age 16 and got caught up in street life and drug use. The role play that Jose did. Right. Okay?
Okay, I think we did the other one. We did the Matthews family. We didn't do this one. I don't think
we did that previously. Where we
I was referring to me and Nettie. I don't think when we were doing the role playing we did that one. I think we did the Matthews. I don't.
Yeah, Maria and I did this one, I believe.
I know Emily and I did that like Tuesday maybe when we had some extra time and you were like, "Oh, you're done? Okay, well you guys can role play." So I remember Emily and I did that, the one with the 22-year-old.
Okay.
I think Nettie and I did the Matthews one, if I can remember. But Nettie, you take a lot of notes.
So this is, well, let's make sure our notes are effective, right? So here's what we're working on, right? This is the role play. Nope, not that, right? So starting with the CHW, this is your story. This is what you're looking to do. You provide client care management assistance to homeless and low-income individuals and families. Your agency provides job readiness classes, job placement services, and referrals to other agencies for assistance with housing, food security, legal issues, and health and mental health services. Today, you are meeting with a client for the first time who's been referred to you by another agency. Remember the goal of assessing the client's strengths and priorities and developing an action plan, right? That's your job as a CHW. What's that, Nettie?
I'm sorry, I was talking to my cat.
Oh, okay. Easy, Milo. All right. And then the client, you are meeting with the CHW for the first time. You are both feeling nervous. You are feeling both nervous and hopeful. You are 22 years old. You ran away from an abusive family at age 16 and got caught up in street life and drug use. 18 months ago, you entered a highly structured residential drug recovery program, and you have been in recovery ever since. The two hardest things you ever did were running away from a crazy bad abusive family situation and getting into recovery. You tried a dozen times before you achieved recovery for more than a couple of months. For the past 6 months, you have been working at 2 part-time minimum wage jobs, and living in a small studio apartment at the back of a friend's house. You continue to go to recovery meetings every week and have found a supportive community there. You feel ready to accomplish something more and are beginning to have faith in your ability to do so. Sometimes you still struggle to overcome internalized messages that you are not good enough. You want to find a better job. Do something that helps people. You know, people like me. You never completed high school, but you earned your GED when you were in the residential recovery program. Ultimately, you want what everyone else wants: a normal, healthy relationship and a home to call your own. Okay? So we just want to talk through. We're going to see 4 more role plays, real quick like. We're going to do glows and grows, but we're going to spend 10 minutes now. And then get into your, take your breaks, and then we're going to come right back at 9:45. Okay? Awesome. Any questions? I just read you the positions. There's a rubric afterwards. You can look at that. And that's what we're going to assess based on. Okay? All right, here goes.
Recording in progress.
22-year-old, we have the rubric. Okay, so you guys decide who's going to be the client and who's going to be the CHW.
Can I be the client this time? I was the CHW Friday. For the same.
That's
Go
on
for
you
it.
guys. You hash it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm over here to see, take notes and see what's going on.
Amanda, do we have...
Rubric.
Sorry, Amanda, are you with us?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was dealing with some emergencies this morning.
Okay. I just I wouldn't want... Jose's already done his work. He's obviously going to make observations, but I want you to be the intentional observer for this group, okay?
Will do.
Okay, great. Any questions, guys, before I go? All right, go get them, team.
I would like
Recording
to know
in progress.
all about you and what you would like to talk about today. I work with
It makes any sense.
Recording in
To
progress.
start doing something that we're not gonna be able to finish.
We could talk about it if you want, but I can't. Like I said, I don't
like
want to get into. Go ahead.
Like I said, I had just had a couple of notes on it when I read it. About her strengths in the referrals. But other than that, I don't have anything else.
That's okay. Let's redo.
No, it's just that Amy is at the doctor's office. Andrea has to leave in a couple minutes, and it's only me.
Oh, got you.
Because you said Rosalie was an observer, and I said I'd be happy to do it, but I was like, I don't want to start something, then I have to step away in like 10 minutes to get my son ready. So Amy's in the doctor's office.
Well,
I have
you
to
got
step away in 10 minutes, and Rosalie, I think you said Rosalie is the observer.
That's what I'm saying. That when I read that story, I have my own notes about her strengths, couple referrals, what it's going on, like couple of questions and stuff like that.
And
I was telling I was telling them that on Tuesday when I was in a group with Emily and I forgot exactly what we were doing, but you came in and you're like, you're done already? You're like, okay, you guys can role play. Emily and I did this role play. I was the CHW and she was the client, but of course you didn't see it because you were, in and out of rooms. But I did do that with Emily.
All right.
And
Well,
like, I have no problem participating, as you know, but I don't want to start something and I have to go, oops, sorry. and then when the groups come back together,
I got you. So, and Amy's not available. Okay.
Amy's in the doctor's
Yeah, I'm at
office,
the
I think.
doctor's office right
Oh,
now.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Rosalie, would you mind being the client?
I don't mind. I could be a pain in the butt.
You are a rock star, right? Get a little bit of, a little bit of that out of your system. You saw what Jose did. I'm sure you want to, just from a performance standpoint, give Maria a hard time. Maria's a pro, so I'm not worried about her handling you. Right? This is going to be a learning experience for the folks in the rest of the room. But yeah, just make good use of the time. Andrea, I understand. Amy, I thank you for being with us, and I don't know if get well is appropriate, but whatever happens at the doctor's office, I hope it comes the way that you hope it will. And yeah, just Andrea, just observe what you can, and try to share that a little bit once we all come back. All right? Excellent.
Okay, so let's start. Let me take.
As a backup too, I could maybe
Recording in progress.
Maybe a certain psychologist could also maybe help if the rehabilitation's not working out. I could do the psychologist because they could also help give you good tips for alternatives to stop your drug substance abuse that you're trying to do, and then like some other activities that I know as well. You can also maybe join. Maybe like there's a social. There's like some social groups for certain age groups in the area that are accepted.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.